Elliot versus Anthony. These were two people I've met in 8th grade. One was a bookworm, the other one was the school jock like Justin, but the only problem is he had deficiency because Elliot was as short as me. But he got along with all the popular girls because he looked good. Unlike Justin, he was not the joke master, but he looked like he blended in with everyone. He had blonde hair, blue eyes, somewhat fit, but he was skinny and he fit in with Justin and everyone else. Anthony, however, was the exact opposite because he was in the same special ed classroom as me, but all he did was read. When I was growing up and I only did just enough to pass, I was wondering, how are these people able to read books on their own? How are they even interested in picking up a book outside of what's mandatory for them in school? Literally, I see people reading books after books after books. They even picking their own book and read. And I'm just reading just because I have to. And literally, there was this girl when I was in junior high, when I was in 7th grade, that reminded me a whole lot like Lisa because of the lessons he taught about maturity. And literally, I'm sitting over here hating reading. I don't see how people can find reading fun and shit like that. And I'm sitting over here looking at Sarah, and she's looking at Mr. Pleasure, and she's literally talking about different writers and different storytellers and different authors, and literally, I see her with a big ass book and she's all like, it's a Bible. And I'm wondering how are you able to read that much? And all Anthony did was read. And I was eternally jealous because the whole theme that the popular kids used on me 8th grade year was you need to be more mature, which is where we get Justin jokes. But their mature was so fucking on point, it's not even funny because of the main fact that Anthony read all sorts of books, and I'm over here looking at him so calm, cool, and collect. Like, how can you be so cool, so chill when you're in special ed? And literally, they start talking about everything, and him and Mr. Pleasure go back and forth about what makes the Lord of the Rings different from the books and how the books are twice as long. I'm like, damn! It's literally so much fucking reading that involved Anthony, it wasn't even funny. And literally, that guy was so on point. When it comes to comedy, oh, Anthony reigns, because would sit still and watch you play yourself. He didn't even have to be funny. The way he would look at you after you say something dumb was hella funny. So Anthony gives me this speech and he's all like, dude, in junior high, take the work seriously, but don't take the people seriously. And I thought about that, and I'm like, dude, that is so true, because that's what Mr. Pleasure's been trying to tell me. But little did I know, there was a catch-22 to that, and why Anthony said that is where we got Elliot. Now let's start off with Elliot. Elliot and me had this running gag in 8th grade that we love Kung Fu and that he is Chuck Norris. Every single time we talked about equivalent shit, all he would say was Chuck Norris, but there was a downside. Elliot tried to pull a Justin. Every single time I would say something intellectual, Elliot would take it back like, no, that's not true. Oh, you're hella fucking dumb. Oh, this and that. One good example was literally when I squared up against one of my old homies from Boy Scouts, like I said in the Justin the Fallen video. I was going head to head with the most popular guy in school, and all of a sudden Elliot tells me I should fight the tallest Indian guy in school. Now, Justin had this running gag that I didn't know how to fight, so when I squared up against Max Chance, who was the most popular guy in school, these guys were on it, and they were all trying to see about my buff, see who I could take, who I couldn't take. And simultaneously while this is all happening, okay, so you're saying that Eris can fight now, you're offering him to fight someone legitimate, but you're not willing to make him popular. You're not willing to take him out to social events. You're not willing to let him sit at the social table at lunch. You're not willing to do this and that. You're not allowing him to say this and that. Like, for example, one time I started singing Papa Roach. Literally cut my life into pieces, and Max cut me off automatically. He's all like, yo, you are not allowed to sing Papa Roach when I'm around. And literally, that is when you say cut it, and that's where Anthony got the whip that those people were full of shit. But me, I kept on trying to be equivalent Shinobi, and it wasn't happening. No matter how good I was getting in 8th grade, they weren't gonna give me the utmost credit that I deserve because of the whole fact I'm a special ed. But Anthony is a special ed too. But the difference between me and Anthony is way more chill. Anthony doesn't try too hard to fit in. But one thing he's not in denial of is that those guys were full of shit. So Elliot sees me doing better and better, and whenever we're in the PE locker room, he stands up for me somewhat by when everybody agrees with me, he automatically agrees with me too. Now, we all know that is fake, but what made Elliot so fucking nice was he knew I was a privileged Shinobi more than Justin, and he treated me more equal than Justin did. But he pulls his whole thing like, yo, when you open your mouth, you put yourself in a bad position, so, you know, I can only talk to you here and there. He had that cocky guy mentality, and he couldn't keep up with me, you know what I'm saying? Him and me were like best friends on the outside, but he didn't invite me. You know why? Because Elliot knew I was getting more popular, and he was already accepted. He didn't have to tell jokes. He just had good looks, and he looked like that movie character that we all got along with, but we all knew that he was a dick. We all knew that he was a piece of shit, because how are you so nice to Eris, yet you don't give Eris the benefits that you have? It's basically what was going on. So it goes on to non-stop debates about why I don't know what I'm talking about. Even in the PE locker room, they stopped when I saw this guy getting pushed in the middle like a party, and I'm all like, mosh pit, mosh pit. And Elliot's like, stop, stop, stop. I don't like it when you, and his head, he's like, I don't like it when you make references to stuff that we know about, you know, because I'm black and I ain't listen to punk rock and stuff. They didn't want me to know because I was getting all the white girls that were listening to Yellow Card and shit like that. Blink-182, I was listening to all that. I was getting along with all the metro stations, Shake It. Yeah, we were all that shit in junior high. And literally, so I'm all like, mosh pit is like, you don't know where a mosh pit is. Because people fight in mosh pits and stuff like that, and everyone, even the old bros from Boy Scouts, were all like, yo, shut the fuck up, you don't know anything about mosh pits, this and that. And literally, he's like, people fucking die. And what was really happening was I was catching on, and I was learning how to be popular, and they were kind of telling me, no, you're not doing that correctly. You know, mosh pits is some serious shit. So, literally, so Anthony literally combats that on screen, and he tries telling me a joke that doesn't make sense, and I still don't get it. So I'm with my friend Jonathan at the time, and me and Jonathan have this running gag about being immature. If you look at my favorite teacher video, Mr. Fletcher keeps on scoring me about stop laughing when the PE teacher says balls. So literally, Anthony said this joke about this fat guy and talked about airspace. Me and Jonathan didn't get. He's like, oh, maybe if you're more mature, you're get. How about get this? There was this guy with black dogs, and literally, me and Jonathan start busting up on the floor laughing. And he tries to back up his statement, but Anthony did that on purpose because he was trying to let me know that those people are full of shit. And I was literally basically dick riding Anthony in 8th grade because everybody was calling me immature, and I'm looking at him come and collect reading books. I'm all like, you know what, Anthony, you're very mature. I want to be a lot like you. You know, as far as Elliot was so full of shit that it literally went back to the same conversation every single time when me and Elliot talking about literally Chuck Norris. And he didn't make one joke throughout 8th grade, but he was socially accepted after all this destructive criticism Justin was giving me. Elliot had a six-pack, he was skinny, and he was white. And he had spiked hair. He looked like one of the singers of Sum 41. We were talking about shit like Deadliest Warrior, and literally, all that shit, and literally one of the other brothers when I was in 8th grade was trying to say, oh, I'll beat your ass. Like, literally. Him and Max Chance were best friends when I was in 8th grade. I also knew him growing up from Boy Scouts that these two people had girlfriends, they had everything. So when he said that he'll beat my ass, and Elliot said I should fight Sid, who is the tallest Indian guy in school, I'm like, something must not be right. Elliot was even in on that conversation with me and Justin when we talked about nothing but Sly Cooper for the entire fucking mile. And literally, the one thing about Elliot though that made him and me so similar is that he had a very high-pitched voice. I wouldn't say high-pitched, but it was a very premature voice for someone in junior high. It's a voice that carried no character at a very high pitch, but with a low tone. And literally, if he didn't have a six-pack, you wouldn't take him seriously. He was also the same height as me, so it's kind of like, it's hard to take him seriously, but you can kind of see why he's a popular kid. It's kind of like, don't judge a book by its cover. He's kind of funny here and there, but I like Justin better. So, he was a cool ass person, and one of the biggest flaws between me and Elliot was I tried telling him, I'm all like, dude, I have a great personality. I feel like that once I really get a girl to see past the fact that I'm in special ed, that literally I'm going to be alright. But literally, I'm in my head, I'm just literally trying to tell him, like, yo, I do have a great personality now that I've been practicing. And Elliot's all like, you know what makes your personality not so good is the fact that you keep talking about, oh, I have such a good personality, I have such a good personality. It's literally a recipe saying that, yo, I don't have a good personality because I keep talking about it. But no, I'm just stating what's going on. I'm literally just stating what the truth is. I keep on repeating it because I was kind of new to socializing and shit like that, but it didn't matter at that point because I literally became one of the most popular guys in school, and I was getting better at fighting, I was getting better at dancing, I was getting better at everything. I got better at making jokes. So here's what happened. Him and Anthony have a walk right after me and Max square up. So Anthony and Elliot have a conversation in their heads talking about my development while I'm in 8th grade. And so he's like, why aren't you giving Eris a chance to sign? Why aren't you introducing Eris to even more girls? Why aren't you introducing them to even more friends? Why aren't you hyping them up to be a privileged shinobi? And this is a conversation they had in their heads, and he took advantage of the fact that those popular kids are full of shit. So basically, he was telling, and Elliot in his mind was all like, well, he used to be hyper, he's a special ed, he used to hop on tables and shit like that, he used to say jokes at the wrong time, none of his jokes was funny, this and that. Literally, given all the constructive criticism that I've worked hard to get off from 7th grade all the way to 8th grade, and so Anthony in his head is all like, well, I didn't see him do none of that shit recently. And he's like, you know what, don't talk to me in his head, fucking Elliot. Okay, so anyway, so Anthony is trying to tell him that you're full of shit. And so the moment that Elliot starts talking smack to Anthony in his mind is where they literally start one of the best cameos of school fights I have ever seen. When Anthony started off with the shoulder roll and Elliot could not keep up with him, and literally they were in a lock tie like in fucking wrestling, and it was so fucking sick. It literally almost beat the square up between me and Max Chance in one line. It literally almost beat the fighting experience I had in one because of how clean it fucking looked, how Elliot ducked over his shoulder but he was still grabbing onto him. It was a clean ass, like, 10-second fight. It was really so fucking clean. And what happened was this. Okay, so here's how it ended. This is how you knew Anthony was right and how Elliot was wrong. At the end of the year, when I become the most popular guy in school, when I graduate, when I literally freak dance with a girl that ran away from me my 7th grade year, literally start freak dancing on me like no other. At the end of the year is when Anthony and me literally team up and we go at the end of the year school picnic where we go to Waterworld. And Anthony literally becomes my best fucking friend. And we're doing everything together. We're making bases underwater. We're doing all that cool shit. And he ends off letting me know that you're a cool person. Literally, he didn't even have to say it. The fact that he gave me the opportunity to kick it with him for a whole day at the school field trip was literally outstanding, and it was hella fun. And how Elliot ended when I left in 8th grade was, I'm doing all this shit, finally became equipped with Shinobi, and literally, when I get my yearbook and I ask Elliot to write in my yearbook, all he puts is Chuck Norris. Now this is Elliot versus Anthony, and the victory goes to Anthony.